I'm going to record this session if that's okay with everyone.
Sure.
Okay, great. So, yeah, do you mind, if this is the first time you're joining, do you mind quickly introducing yourself and just say where you're joining from?
Oh, I'm from living in New Jersey,
Okay.
and it's the second time. Actually, I think a couple of weeks ago I was into
Oh, yeah.
without the video. Yeah.
Yeah. Just no video. Okay, great.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, very good. And then I think, is that Brian Kolb on the call?
Yep, this is my first time joining.
Hey, Brian, welcome. Where are you joining from?
From Mac.
Matt. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, lots of your colleagues were on the line last week, actually. Yep, and looks like Alistair just joined. Hey, Alistair.
Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, okay, so I guess we get started. There is a question that came in from a user, but they haven't joined just yet. So we'll just give them a couple minutes to join whenever they can. We'll take a look at it. So if anyone who's joined has any call, feel free to start asking. If not, we can go through some other app building things. But Brian, do you know if you've had a chance to start implementing tables and connectors in your apps? Because I think a couple of your colleagues joined last week. We're trying to figure that out.
Yeah, we have some tables and connectors running. We need to do lots more.
Yeah.
But it's something that we do here quite a bit.
Okay, nice. And it's, I mean, if I remember correctly, this is like mainly to get information from multiple instances into different ones, right?
We actually have 3 instances. I don't know that they talk to each other at all, but we do have data sharing with our customer, and we have a printer system that we talk to with a connector to get labels out of our printer system.
Yeah. If I think actually that's what the team was trying to implement, was to get the 3 instances talking to one another. So using connectors in the table API to send information between the tables, between the various instances. So yeah, great. Alistair, or sorry, is your name Head or Hetty?
Hetty.
Hetty. Either of you have any questions? What kind of apps have you guys been building recently?
We're working trying to build some type of machine monitoring app, and also programs for CNC milling and lathes.
Okay, great.
Machines. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure one of the engineers will be contacting you soon. They want to know more about the machine monitoring, because we've been doing some monitoring with the apps, but we need so much more. I feel like that module will help us.
Yeah, for sure. We can definitely take a look at that. Yeah, and if you want to invite the engineer to the call next week, feel free to do so, and we can.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
But if you'd like, in the meantime, I can show you briefly what the machine monitoring portion of the platform looks like.
Great.
Yeah, so from anywhere within and actually, while I'm here, I did want to share that the users tab will be moving starting in 196. So if you see here, for your instances, probably it's going to be, I think, this coming Sunday, it's going to be moving. So you'll be able to access it from over here. So you click on your icon and then into settings, and then it'll be here, users. This is where you'll access all the users within your account. So if you go to try and add either an admin or an operator or any type of user, just bear in mind that it won't be here anymore. It's now in here in the settings tab. But to go back to the machine monitoring, so if you go to shop floor machines, you have, the first thing you'll see is a machine library with a list of all the machines that you have connected within your account with various fields. So you'll see the machine name, the type of machine that we'll get into in just a second, the data source, so where we're connected from, the station that it's running on, and when Tulip read the last output. So to set up a new machine, you can come in here, just simply click new, add a machine. And as you can see, you can add essentially a variety of things. You can add states to the machine. So the machines come out of the box with 3 predefined states. If you want to add custom states, you can simply come in here and add a machine state to your machine. Then you have the downtime reasons. So again, it comes with default, some default downtime reasons, but you can also come in here and customize and add custom downtime reasons to your machines. And then you can also add attributes. So attributes are important because then when you have a trigger, when the machine outputs a specific attribute, so say in this case, it's state change, you come in here and basically define the machine state based on the attribute. So, you know, if the attribute, I guess this machine here that I'm just connected to doesn't have an attribute, but you would see like, okay, just select from the list of attributes. When it changes, go to running. And it's that easy to set up a machine and get it connected in Tulip. And sorry, Hedy, just to be clear, what how are you guys currently monitoring your machines?
We are not.
Oh, you're not. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think you're doing it through apps.
Well, we connected one gateway. The app is not ready yet. They keep making changes to it, but we just connected through the GPIO.
Okay.
So we just have 4 outputs like idle, alarm, stop, and completion, part completion.
Okay, but you're using triggers from the apps in here.
From the gateway, yeah.
From the gateway. Okay, so essentially, when the gateway outputs here, then go to a specific step or something.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that was one of the questions. When you switch to machine monitoring, how would that connection be? It would still be connected through the same functionality that the GPIO, or
So,
how do we connect the machine physically, I would say, to
yeah,
the gate?
so it's actually not done through GPIO. You connect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you connect directly to the OPC UA server. So
Okay.
if you bring the engineer next week, I mean, if you know, essentially, and actually, we have a really good guide that I can share with you here. But essentially, let's see. Where is it? Yeah, I think it's this one here. Yeah, this one. This is not the one I had in mind, but this one also works well. So essentially, you can see what you need to do is connect an OPC UA connector. So machines, if they're connected to the internet, OPC UA is a protocol that maybe your machine has, and we can connect to directly within Tulip. So from the machine stage, you can come in here and you can define a new data source. So you'll go ahead and create a connector. You'll say, okay, I don't know, CNC lathe, and then you'll say, okay, this is an OPC UA connector. And then you can come in here and add all this information, the parameters, where it's running. Thanks, Kaylee, for sharing that. The parameters, the credentials, and then you connect to the machine.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. And then, but then once it's connected there, you can do the same thing as you're doing currently with the gateway, but point to specific machines. So if you also want to have an app that reads outputs from, if every time that the machine outputs alarm, you want to, trigger a series of actions, you can do that the same way that you're currently doing with GPIO.
Okay, I see. I'll read more on that, and I'll look pass the information to the engineer and see if he have more questions.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and you said these are CNC machine mills and lathes, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Yeah, let us know. Feel free. We have this every week, so whenever the engineer has time, bring them on onto the call, and we can walk
Yeah,
through.
I'll see if he have time next week, and
Okay.
he can join us.
Okay, that sounds perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Okay. Hey, Dave. I saw you just joined.
Yep. Heyo.
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad.
Yeah. By the way, at the start we were just talking about the users page. I think this is a pretty important change to bear in mind. So you might see that starting next Sunday, you see here on my instance, the users tab is no longer here where you're used to seeing it. It's now going to be in the settings tab. So if you get confused when you go to add a user, it'll be click on your profile settings, and then it's going to be here under users.
Ah, that's good to know.
Yeah. So this is changing. Yeah, I can't remember if it's this Sunday or the coming Sunday, but in the next few weeks, you'll see it change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have confused the heck out of me.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. By the way, you want to get right into the question you emailed about yesterday afternoon?
Yes and no. I need to posture myself a little better, but we can definitely crack into it. I see Josh is here too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Long time no see,
Yeah.
Josh.
Yeah. While you're getting that set up, maybe we can go through a couple of the interesting posts that there were on community. Actually, before we do that, I do want to point out that next week there will be a special event in office hours. So essentially, somebody from engineering team will join to showcase some of the new capabilities that are going to be released. We'll describe more next week. But essentially, if you see here, the last item in the shop floor is Vision. So it's still in beta. Lots of things coming, but next week, one of the engineers who built this will be joining to walk through a demo. So yeah, that's gonna be next Thursday. I think this here was a pretty interesting use case in which somebody, Akito, had a question about printing multiple steps. And I think it's, so you can either, one thing that users often don't know about is the fact that you can combine, if you need to print multiple steps at once, you can combine them into a folder within your app. So you see here, this app is called Steps and has 3 steps within it. And then you can just print all 3. So that was the first interesting thing that came from this post. And then the other thing is that you can reorganize the triggers. So this is a really important thing. But, I mean, all you might already know about this, but depending on the order in which the actions are within the trigger here is the order in which they fire. So it's not like, you can just put them in any order and they will work. I mean, you can, but if certain things need to happen before another, so say you need to perform a calculation on a user input before you store it to a table, it's really important to remember that the actions fire in the order in which they're presented here in the trigger. Yeah, the new user, this one we talked about, where it is changing places. It's now over here in the users. I think this was another pretty interesting post. So essentially, Dylan wanted to know, we currently have the show message and show error actions, which are predefined and are not customizable to orange, or I guess it's like a yellowish or a red, a little toast that pops up at the bottom of the player. And Dylan was asking about having, a positive feedback, so something green, or essentially being able to customize it any way that that he wanted to. And I think this is not the perfect solution, but essentially what you could do is it won't show up as a pop-up, but in this case here, you'll see that if a variable matches a regular expression, so essentially if it passes a specific criteria, in this case, if it is an email, then store green in a color variable, otherwise store red. And then what that looks like in the app essentially is, once a valid email is input and then the person clicks submit, the background turns to green. And you can put this green wherever you like. And then if it's just an @gmail.com without, doesn't meet the regular expression, then it turns to red. That way the user knows that there was a mistake. And it's a pretty good way to give feedback on the validation that the user needs. Does that make sense? Do you guys use any validation within your apps to make sure that people are entering information correctly?
I just started using the error one. I don't know when you guys input the error one, but that's been pretty helpful for, I try to use that.
Yeah, with like the little message that shows up at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, like if something doesn't if a function doesn't operate the way that it's supposed to, I'll put the error, so at least it gives some like tangible, like this thing failed. Whereas like seeing a loading bar not do anything and not getting the feedbacks.
Yeah, it's right. That's important. I mean, it's that's why by default most people use the red one, like you're describing, to give like feedback, like, oh, something needs to change. Whereas but it's also good sometimes to give positive, if you have like a step where you're collecting a lot of information, maybe good to know, like, okay, these are those green, this one was where the error was, and you can do that using that storing to a color variable. Another interesting post this was actually a long time ago, but it was just brought back up earlier this week. So essentially, there's the parse date time TZ and format date time TZ, where TZ is time zone. This is not enabled by default on all the instances, but if you reach out to us to use it, if you don't have it enabled, this is what it will look like. It's going to stay white. Whereas if you do have it enabled, it's going to turn to orange. So it's good to know that if you don't see it show up, that's why, and just reach out to us and we can enable it for you. We can enable these functions for you. Good. And then since last week, let me see, the other thing that I wanted to share. Was it this one? No. Yeah, actually, I think that might be it. The last one I think is pretty interesting is adding other field types to tables. So here Chase was asking about storing documents, but we'll also be storing we'll be adding functionality to store other types of just store other things within tables. So that's coming in Q1 of 2021. So keep an eye out for that, because it's going to be pretty exciting. Those were the main updates that we wanted to cover today. If folks have any questions on apps that you've been building or anything that would be helpful to cover, let us know and we can definitely help out. And Alistair, are you joining from Mac as well? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. Have you been, and you've been building out the tables API and connectors?
I did play around a little bit with it and make some test apps, but I haven't found a use case for it yet in the stuff that I build.
Okay. It's so I mean, the simplest use case is just sending information in between instances, but you can also use it like, any service that you have within your organization that can access an HTTP request can get data out or write data into tables. So it's, yeah, like, users use it to basically, essentially, if you need to populate a specific table, for example, with work orders, as when somebody orders from an online store or something like that, you can just add the orders directly to the table.
Right. So let me say it a different way. I haven't found anything that's both within my lane and
Okay.
a good use case.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But you understand more or less how it works and
Yep.
and its capabilities.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. And what is your lane, out of curiosity?
I'm a quality engineer.
Quality engineer. Okay. Got it.
So my responsibilities in Tulip involve creating inspection histories, just inspection processes. Because we don't have Tulip validated, we still have to have them document the inspection on paper, as well as I'm sort of responsible for the travelers. It's kind of a
Okay.
joint responsibility, but I take it on the programs that I'm on. And so I've started working on getting the travelers digitized, so they're not filling out a paper traveler anymore.
Okay. But currently you need to do both in parallel.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
what I've done is I've managed to find our ISO requirements and made a bare bones minimum required traveler that fulfills our ISO requirements. Our customer doesn't have any this customer doesn't have any traveler requirements, so I have digitized the entire traveler on one of our programs.
Okay. Got it. And what kind of information are you collecting in this with the traveler?
So it's broken down by station, and we've got station, say 1 through 10, and it records the user. When the user scans the serial number, it creates a record for that serial number and then stores the user, as soon as they scan the serial number, into that station's spot, into that station's field. And then they go through the app, and when they hit the completion button, it stores the date time that they completed that station.
Nice.
So this wouldn't have been necessary. We could have, all this information is already present in the completion data, but because I need to make sure that station 1 was completed before the next operator is allowed to start station 2, we needed a table so station 2 could check and see if station 1 was done.
Okay, so when they go to scan a traveler in station 2, if it hasn't been completed in station 1, it won't let them continue?
We've got many different flows that have come up with based on talking to the operators and the line leaders and things like that. What we've come up with is that rather than just stopping the process and saying, no, you cannot continue, depending on the process at station 1, if there's a test or an inspection that has to happen at station 1, then we'll give them an error and say, no, send it back. For example, an electrical safety test, that can't be skipped.
Yeah.
We need that data in Tulip. But if it's just a build process and say the operator built it without scanning the unit, and then when it gets to station 2, it'll say, this didn't get scanned at completed at station 1. Do you want to perform an inspection and accept responsibility for it? And if they say yes, then they do the inspection, and it puts their name on the traveler.
Oh, okay. Wow, it's a great way of building it.
The next option is that they can call the line lead over. They push a button, the line lead comes over and has to scan their ID badge. I've got a table set up of who's an authorized line lead. From there, the line lead has the option of inspecting the product themselves, returning the product to the previous station, so the line lead's aware that somebody's not scanning serial numbers or something else is going wrong.
Okay.
And then they can also set it up so there's a third page where they say, yep, the Tulip station is down at station 1. So I'm gonna scan an ID badge, and every time station 2 runs, it's automatically gonna put this person's name in station 1.
Nice. That's awesome. And it's all working well. All the information is being recorded correctly, and all the workflows are.
Yes-ish. I've got all the workflows running correctly. It's just that sometimes we still have are you aware of the network latency error with tables?
No, not really. Actually, I mean, I know I remember it from a couple of weeks ago. I didn't realize it was still ongoing.
It comes and goes. It's intermittent, but if we
Okay.
have a network latency going on between us, our facility and AWS, then frequently a trigger will send the data to AWS. It will not get written to the table, and the app will proceed, carry on as normally. So all the data is present in the completions data, but we have blank fields in a table that should have been written to.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it. Got it. Yeah, but I mean, it sounds like it's a great app. Actually, when you were describing it, I was trying to think where within that workflow the tables API could work or could be used. But to be honest, I mean, if it's you know, it sounds like most of the logic is placed directly on what's happening in Tulip. So everything's, I mean, aside from this AWS case in which you're describing now, it's mostly happening in Tulip. So if you don't need to, I mean, if it's all there, there's no reason to use it.
Yeah, I've been able to pull everything and set it up using the basic trigger editor.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. Yeah, very cool. Thanks for describing that.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
If I carry on too long, go ahead and tell me to shut up. That's fine.
No. This is good. No. This is exactly what we're here for, to be honest. I just did want to give Dave, if you wanted to go over the OAuth thing, because I think that is a pretty good thing for folks to be aware of that's coming into the product.
Yeah, so I'll share my screen. So I've got a few connector functions. This is one that I'm making to connect to NetSuite Sandbox. So currently all the connectors and APIs connected to our NetSuite production. And so just to kind of create a safer space to try things out, I'm just trying to get a successful connection to Sandbox. And it kind of, in the past, I used a different type of authorization. But NetSuite is upgrading to an OAuth like 2.0 access, which is why I've had to kind of update this. So I think NetSuite's going to go live with that in 2021. So I'm just trying to get ahead of that curve. And then it's also
Nice.
on this activity. And then what I did was there is a form. This is not the right one, but let's see. So there's a new form. I don't know. No, that's not the right one. God.
Flow connectors.
Damn it. Here we go. So yeah, I've got, I populated this here. I was able to test it and it didn't blow up. And so it seems like I'm online, which is cool. And what I think I just need some help with is doing some sort of function to just confirm that there's a connection. Like I guess I'm just not sure where to move to next. One thing I'm seeing is that I do need to, it looks like I need to test this again to get the token. So I'm gonna do this. So it takes me to NetSuite and say, yes, it's me. So yeah, that looks pretty good. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah, it's strange. That button should turn blue though, the test, to let you save it. But yeah, let's try nonetheless, because you might have already connected to it. Do you have a RESTlet set up that we can connect to?
yeah, I've got like I'm not sure if it's a problem with like the sandbox side. But I do have some script we can try.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to suggest. If you go back and get one from.
Yeah, I'll grab another one. About to see all my nasty. Okay, let's see. Let's just do this one. So this one's pretty simple. I'm gonna add some stuff and then we'll go back. Script 661.
Very cool. And just so folks on the call who haven't seen this before, what Dave has done here is he's connected Tulip to the NetSuite. So essentially, all the information that is stored in the ERP is available within Tulip. So work order information, bill of material information is available within Tulip to be used in the apps.
So I'm just kind of guesstimating here, but yeah, I'm still getting this 301. I just pasted in the URL that I had here, and the only difference really is this is our like production ID. This is the sandbox ID, but I can see it looks like we're missing this Rustlet detail here actually. Which
Yeah.
which could be,
What is it? Yeah, I think that's important.
yeah.
And you need to add that to the actual connection itself.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think it's actually, yeah. Exactly.
I may have to did not like that. Let me double check.
Oh, it's before the API.
This says app actually. Huh.
Where did you get that URL from? The app.netsuite.com that you have
I
here?
think honestly, I think I just grabbed it from up here. So that
Oh yeah, that could be it.
place to start.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. Maybe that's why I'm here. That's maybe
This is what office hours is for.
yeah. But now you know what drives me nuts. I will say about I always forget to save this stuff, and then I like lose all the hard work I put in.
Oh, like the headers and the request here.
Yeah, and then sometimes it gets a little tricky. There's one time I like was able to accomplish something and I was like, hell yeah. And then I showed it to somebody and then was like, that's cool. And then I closed the window and I never saved it. And it's embarrassing. Anyways.
Yeah. No, you're right, because in the rest of throughout like most of the app building, you can do it without saving. And so you get kind of not in the kind of the state of mind to continually save stuff. So and then you get back into the connectors and you do need to save.
Yeah, it's very like I was just thinking about how auto saves nowadays is really great and how I like used to save all the time. So okay, I updated the RESTlet API, which sounds right to me. I'm a little like I don't really know what I'm doing in terms of the header. Here, I guess the authorization, and then we're just putting authorization code.
Yeah.
Take a look at
You mind just saving this real quick? I think one thing that I'm seeing here is that you see how the protocol is just HTTP all the way to the left in there.
Yep.
Whereas I think if you go to the other one, it should be HTTP exactly. So if you change that to yes. Yep, and now try testing and saving. Okay, and now try it again. So now this changed the protocol, yep, to HTTPS. Try running it. Okay, we're not getting a 301 error right away, which is promising.
Yeah, that's promising.
Yeah, it's taking a while to load.
All right, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I needed. Just a little HTTPS.
Yeah, right. Yeah. What is it? TLS. It's a transfer layer socket, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it just I mean, most websites, like actually, if you click into your URL right now, you'll see that it goes like, yeah, click in there, click again. You see it's HTTPS. Like most modern websites work over HTTPS, but if some APIs that people use are not over HTTPS, so that's why we have it there as an option.
That's cool.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty huge. So I mean, there's a lot of people who have helped me out with this. Kaylee, an example, so I appreciate the help. But that's all I kind of needed. So that's a pretty big breakthrough.
Awesome. That's great to hear. That's good
I would
stuff.
say like you may hear from me again in terms of the need to maybe I could be wrong, but the need to go into the header to test this to go to this page. I wonder if there's a way to like automate this. I may come back to you. Right now it's all in Sandbox, so I'm not too worried about it, but
That should just be a one-time thing though.
Yeah.
all right, cool.
And unless the token expires, which I don't know, 3 months. That's not like something that should happen every time.
Okay.
Awesome. Cool. Great stuff, Dave.
It's
Thanks
the
for
good
sharing.
stuff.
Yeah.
I've got if I can pass the microphone,
Yeah.
I've also got a puzzle if
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're always happy to do puzzles, but let's see if
Before we leave the subject, I had a question.
Yep.
When I started playing with connectors, I noticed that when I create a connector function and I save it, I'm no longer allowed to add or remove inputs or outputs.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
makes me sick.
Yeah.
it's frustrating when you're
better, but
testing and trying to create.
Yeah.
It's
No.
frustrating, but the intention is to prevent anyone from accidentally being able to edit, production data, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's it's two main things. That's the first important thing. And then the other thing is you can also imagine that it can kind of disrupt things if you're using your connector output in a variable within your app, it creates a new variable type that matches the connector output. So it's like either an array of text, an array of string, like whatever it is, like that variable is predefined depending on the output. So if you were to change it, then it could just throw things off and they're mismatched.
So it's less designed around testing and getting it set up than it is around making sure that it doesn't get broken because somebody clicked change.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really what it's for. Exactly. It's to prevent you from breaking things.
Makes sense.
Yeah, no, but I mean, we hear you on that. It's frustrating. Like you need to duplicate. Like sometimes, especially when you're developing connectors, you oftentimes just do like copy off, and then, but then once you get to the final state, where you need it to be, you can save that and then take it from there.
Okay.
Yeah. What are you connecting to, by the way?
This was just playing around with the table APIs.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah. And do you have other systems within your organization that would be useful to connect to?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. Okay, skip question.
The short version is that we've been told that Tulip will not be allowed to connect to our API.
Oh, okay.
Or to our ERP.
Okay, to your API. Okay. Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
we have the same issue too. They don't let us connect to the ERP just yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're using Tulip quite a lot on the assembly line, but they don't have any type of database connection yet. So we haven't been able to get permission for that.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
At some point we will, I'm sure. I mean, the need is there, but they just don't want to look into it right now.
Yeah. That's no, and I think developing apps in Tulip, that's you can in the future, whenever you do get access to connecting to the ERP, you can go in and modify them, publish a new version, and it makes it pretty easy to kind of add functionality like that. And as you get more access into different systems.
I see the potential that's there for Tulip to be able to scan a work order or even pull a work order straight from the MRP system. And then once the operator clicks complete, automatically transact the inventory.
Yeah.
That would save thousands of man hours or personnel hours a year. But we've got to get over we've got to assuage the security concerns of the business unit first.
Yeah. Okay. Now I understand why you wanted to skip the question. It seems to be pretty frustrating if
it's painful.
Yeah.
There's so much we could do, but our hands are tied.
Yeah. 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 Very good. But you were mentioning you have integrated with some devices. on your shop floor? Some printers, Zebra printers? Is that correct?
Yes, that's run by Scott Hodges, who was on last week. He
Yeah.
runs it all through a printer server.
Oh, okay, okay.
Uses
So,
an HTTP connector to take all of the Zebra jobs and go to the network printers from there.
okay,
We didn't want to try out the Zebra driver because it would completely change how we run the system.
okay, because you already had predefined printer setups, like all the Zebra printers already pre set up before you started using Tulip.
Yes.
Okay, okay, got it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if at the end of the day, if you're able to print using the HTTP connector that Scott set up, that's not a problem. I think the only slight advantage to using the gateway one is that it's, you can go in and modify the ZPL directly from the gateway page. So like I don't know if do you have any gateways on site?
We have one.
You have one. Okay, yeah.
I have
So
it sitting over here because I'm the only one who knows how to use it.
okay, yeah, yeah. So like, if you go into the driver configuration, you'll see that one of them is like ZPL,
Mhm.
and in there you can like set up your ZPL. So like probably Scott has, I don't know where it's stored, but like all like the formatting and everything for the label is predefined, and you can just input that directly in Tulip, and then it prints without having to need an external system.
Yeah, he has it all stored on the shared drive on the network, and the Tulip triggers go out and pull the shared drive folder path and send all that information to the printer with the print data string, and they use CodeSoft to develop the label formats, and
Okay, yeah. I
it's fairly
haven't
complex.
I haven't used that one. I've used Labelary in the past, but I'll take a look at that one as well.
So Dave, you mentioned a puzzle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a table puzzle.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
What's your record on the
I do want to. So I use Labelary because that's what Giovanni showed me. What's the other thing you guys use? What's the other option?
It's called CodeSoft. That's all I know. I've never used it.
Like I've been able, like I've gotten pretty far in ZPL, like how far I've come, but it's like really odd for me to show somebody else because I'm like, yeah, I figured it out this way.
So
Definitely.
CodeSoft is able to use, I don't know about the program Gio mentioned, but CodeSoft is able to use lines of code and say, take this input from the string, perform this mathematical function on it, and then output that to the label, things like that. We feed it a string of 60 10-digit serial numbers and have it split them up different ways and print them on 6 different labels.
Hmm.
The other nice thing with CodeSoft is that it has GD barcode capability. So all your labels end up being scannable, which is, unfortunately, Tulip doesn't have a barcode font embedded in it.
Not yet.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah. Have you seen, actually, I'll start sharing my screen again. Have you seen this this post here to how to generate a QR code within Tulip?
Yep.
Yeah, you've seen, okay, yeah. So while it's not a font that you can select, many users use, essentially a function like this. It's available here if folks are interested, but just search for QR code. And it's the first one that shows up. And essentially you can pass it, you run a connector function in which you build a URL that includes the variable that you'd like to create the barcode for. And then it generates a QR code or barcode. It doesn't necessarily have to be one of these, but this is really useful, of course, to like, is actually what we use to like sign in and out within our facility now that like with COVID, we need to like every time someone goes on site, they scan in. Everybody on their phone like generates a QR code with their badge ID. And then when they sign in, we like, there's a computer running at the front desk, so we know who signed in. But yeah, this can be like while we're developing the barcode font natively within Tulip, this can be a good solution.
I'll share for what it's worth. We use a lot of QR codes, but I use the ZPL and Labelary to generate it. And it's like not straightforward, but it is an option too.
Yeah.
I use
Right.
it for testing my apps. I use an online generator from tech-it.
What is it? Sorry, tech.
TEC-IT should be your first suggestion there.
Okay, to generate.
They give you a text box. You type whatever you want in there and hit refresh. So when I'm testing my apps, I have this sitting in front of me because we scan everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and Alistair, just if you want to see Labelary, the way it works is like this. Basically, it's like an interface that allows you. I mean, it's not an interface because you can't really like drag and drop elements over here, but you can if you say like, you know, just if you want to move something around, you'll see that this just changed the font size, and you're able to like generate the ZPL here. That you then use in your when you're printing.
Okay.
What's the one that you mentioned called? Because I want to take note of it.
CodeSoft.
CodeSoft. Okay. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll take a look at this one as well.
Did it come up, or I have found it before. I can't remember what the manufacturer's name is.
It's actually techlinks.com. It looks like
That sounds right.
barcode label software. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it's actually, you need to download it onto your computer. It looks like.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
I don't think it's freeware. I think it's paid.
Okay. 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 Very cool. Yeah, we have about 10 minutes. Dave, you want to get into the puzzle?
The puzzle. Let's see.
If not,
we're trying to really lean into QR codes too, just to like automate and kind of like do a proof of the physical, like you physically are scanning that, so it's not just like based on assumption. So that's cool to see the QR stuff.
Hey Dave, I recommend you do some research on QR codes versus data matrix. The data density on data matrix is higher, so you can get more data into a smaller barcode, and it also has a good amount of error correction.
I'm gonna ask you to repeat it. I'll definitely look into that QR code versus data matrix.
Yep.
I'll definitely check that out.
Is that what you use mostly, Alistair?
Yeah, we mostly use data matrix.
Okay.
They're both good for different things.
Yeah.
So it's just looking at your use case.
Yeah, like right now, I think I'm just trying to keep it pretty fundamental, but I'm sure there's like, if we can push it further and it'll be helpful, we'll definitely take it on.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is one of our shipping labels.
And what's in there? Like, is it a few returns of different lines? And
well, this is one from a pallet of 12 units, but the serial numbers are 12 digits, and we feed it a string of 12-digit numbers, and they're all contained within this larger barcode. And then they're broken out individually in these smaller barcodes.
That's awesome. Is that top one, is that considered a data matrix, or is that just like a mega QR code?
Yes, these are all data matrix format.
That's cool. I would definitely look into that.
I can't remember the limits off the top of my head, but I think the limit on data metrics is somewhere around 2,500 characters.
And but you know in which case it is an advantage to use a QR code then?
I read a couple of articles on that Tech IT website that talked about the difference between them and when each one is a bit more advantageous, but I can't remember the specifics.
Okay.
I think the smaller your area, the more you want to lean towards the data matrix. The lower resolution your scanners, you're going to lean towards the QR codes.
Oh, okay. Okay,
So
that makes
sense. If you have like a nice zebra scanner, if you have like a handheld scanner like this, you can use it. You're good with a data matrix. But if you're like using a cell phone or like one of those Walmart scanners that's a cell phone with a scanner attached
Yeah,
to it,
yeah.
you're probably going to want to lean towards the QR codes.
Okay, that's really good to know, actually. Thanks.
I like the sarcasm like placard behind you.
Which part of the sarcasm? I use it without even thinking about it.
No, when like directly behind you, there's a little, it just says sarcasm.
Ah, yes, that. Well, my daughter made that for me for my birthday this year. And little did she know that the lady that sits across from me over there was incredibly sarcastic. So it's just perfect.
That's awesome.
And then she left the company, and then the lady that moved into that desk was also very sarcastic. So
Oh, that's good.
So I'll, we don't have to spend much time on this, but I haven't dug into it too deep. But here's a table, and I'm just trying to focus on these 4 columns here. Each of the row is a different work order, pretty much. And what I'm tracking throughout the app is when there's an operation such as the build. And so the build operator will sign in. 18 is a user. When they start, it'll plug in the start time. And then when they complete it, it'll do the complete time. And when they complete it, it just subtracts those numbers and yields the duration, which is cool. But a problem I'm running into, or I just haven't like figured out how to do it, but is when they take like a break, or if they start the work order on 11:25 and then we end the day, but they didn't complete the work order, and then they start again the following day. I'm inputting like a new start time, or the start time will be massive, or the build time will be 24 hours. And so I'm just trying to think of a creative solution to maybe like input like a timestamp for the first build and then reset it for the other. But the end goal is to just get a pure duration of what the build with the operator on the floor is kind of the goal.
So is the issue when, for example, the app was running all night and that duration is like so far skewed, is the issue that it's throwing off like your analysis? Like, are you looking to correct that, or are you looking to more omit that and find a way to filter?
I just want to correct that. And the cool thing about this is that it's not based on the app duration, which kind of led to some funky errors in the past on like kind of the first revision of the app. So I like how it's just the timestamp. So it's just kind of a unique variable. But yeah, I'm trying to mitigate like exactly that. If they don't like kind of a pause for it, I suppose. Like even when they're taking their break, an example, if they're taking their half-hour break, I'm not getting that half hours eliminated from the duration.
So I have a couple of ideas, but they all have their own problems. They create their own, my solutions create problems. It's fairly common.
Bring it on.
We use a go to break button. They've got 3 different buttons. One says bathroom break, one says employee break, and then one says get parts. But that relies on your operator to actually press that button when they go to break and to not pause the app. So I would, on that page, you could have a step trigger that would record your break start time, your break end time, do the math, and store the break duration as a variable. And then when you complete the app, it would subtract the break duration from the build duration and store that number in the table.
Yeah, I actually have a break duration already, but I think that definitely opens up that idea though of maybe like if the break occurred during that like app, then to subtract the break from the duration. That may be something I'll look into. I actually have the breaks on a different table. I've got like a few
so you're saying make it automated so that the operator doesn't have to press a button? You
yeah,
just know
like
what their break times are.
That's my goal, is to make like just by it. I think the moment that there's a data entry, it kind of adds friction and like mental load, that just by like the nature of doing their job, I just try to retrieve the information from that. But I know
what you mean.
It's still a fine art, but yes, I mean, I kind of cracked the break, and this table's still being worked on, but the idea is that when they start the break, this is when the break will start, and then when the break ends, I just compute the duration, and then if they go over the amount of time, so there's 2 different like variables of like the 15-minute break or the half-hour break. If they pick the lunch, which is half hour, and they go over, or like this one, it was not a launch, so it's 15 minutes, and they went over the 15 minutes by 8 minutes, I consider this downtime. So it actually reduces their runtime, which is on a different table, which is an analytic, but I'm just showing that essentially we lost productivity because they took a longer break than planned. But I think what I will do though is I may input this variable and subtract it from that one that we were just looking at. And I think
if you really wanted to be mean, you could set Tulip up to have a trigger that says when you go over your break time, your supervisor will be emailed.
then you guys will never see me again.
Yeah.
It'll be our last phone call.
You would get fired, or the operators would murder you.
It's the latter. No, I think that definitely helps me out. I appreciate that. I think that's I'll do some. I'll probably end up subtracting the break time. I'll find a way to do that. But cool. Yeah, I like the office hours stuff, Giovanni.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. Yeah, if there's other things that would be useful for me to cover, like new features, use cases, interesting things, let me know, because it's, we're here to help out as you guys build the apps. Yeah, the one last thing I did want to share real quick is something that had come up actually just a couple of days ago. But are you guys all aware that you can have multiple table records per table from an app?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you mentioned that last time around one of your community posts.
Oh, I did. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I was just making sure.
Yeah, something I want to lean into eventually is using more table API to input to populate these tables. Then, like within the app, it gets a little clunky because I'm checking like, are they at lunch? Or I just think there's a lot of computations happening with the triggers. So I get these huge towers of triggers that I'm hoping someday to just, if I'm not an API expert, but that's what I can dream.
Yeah. One can dream. Doesn't hurt. Dreaming is free.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, and also another thing that I think, if I'm understanding correctly, table queries will be coming out in the next few weeks, where basically it will make it easier to extract certain pieces of table, certain table records from your table, depending on the criteria you want. So if you want, only work orders that have been completed by a specific user or at a specific time, you can do that using table queries. And that's coming out in the next few weeks.
Cool.
That'll definitely make life
easier. It's going to be the best thing ever. I'm very excited.
It's got to be better than building an analytic every time I want to find data.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Or exporting. I could export too.
Oh, Alistair, was it you who responded to that community post about searching in analyses?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
Is that the sarcasm?
Well, I was talking about building a search, building an analysis just to do a search of the table and not doing an embedded analysis. But I think you might be able to do the same thing with an embedded analysis.
Yeah, you can, because you can add a filter to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's as real time, but yeah.
All right, guys, I got to drop, but it was good seeing everybody.
Good seeing you, folks. Thank you. Thanks again.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.